This is Sean's Corner, where all my ideas are anything but square. In this segment, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, which is making audio tapes from CDs, sound effects from daily life, and radio. My earliest memory of making an audio tape is around the year 1998. I began mixing tapes of CDs that came from the Columbia House. Columbia House Club was a business where you could order CDs from a printed booklet that they sent through the mail. Bands like Bruce Springsteen, Greatest Hits, the Eagles, the Beach Boys, ABBA, and Air Supply. To get new customers, the company ran a promotion where you could order 11 free CDs free of charge. What an incredible deal! You could select CDs of your choosing from the catalog, and the company would send you CDs back through the mail. I loved that I could order whatever I want, and it would show up at my doorstep about 6 to 8 weeks later. It was fun and exciting to know that my CDs could show up at any time. I also enjoyed recording my favorite songs from the radio. I have recorded from CFTR Toronto in the 1980s. Today it is all news all the time, which in my opinion is pathetic. Another station I enjoyed making recordings from was 530 CJFT in Fort Erie. They were a station that played top 40 hits. They would play artists like Bryan Adams, John Mellencamp, and Denise Williams. Today, this station is 530 CHLO, multicultural from Brampton, Ontario. It is really cool. They represent all kinds of different heritages, including India, Chinese, Italian, to name a few. I always found their commercials on the station entertaining. I love capturing music on tape for the simple reason that it doesn't cost anything at all. One great thing about making tapes is that I can play them back whenever I want. I sometimes put these on around bedtime to help me drift off to sleep. I like making a record of which songs are on the tape by writing on the tape card. Another great thing about making tapes is that I can make them for people. I know and customize them for each person's musical taste. I have done this for my sister Mary, my sister Brenda, and my niece Justine. For Mary, I might put on some Cat Stevens, Bob Dylan, and even some Radiohead. With Brenda, I might include some Who's Greatest Hits and the best of John Mellencamp. For Justine, I once did the best of the Christian rock band Switchfoot. They thanked me for the work and commented the mixes were great. One unusual but fun thing that I like to do with tapes is record sounds from everyday life. I find it entertaining to see what I can capture when I hit the record button. Some notable things I have captured, including a security alarm, woo, 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 an ambulance passing by my home, wee-oo, and a bird banger, pow! When I was around the Hopkins Center in Beamsville. Tapes have given me lots of great entertainment over the years and even make great personalized gifts. It's a great way to listen to my favorite songs whenever I want. Trooper is a Canadian classic rock band. They sing a lot of my favorite songs. I like the songs because they are so catchy, because of the lyrics and outstanding music. My favorite station to listen to Trooper is Niagara's Classic Rock 91.7 Giant FM from Welland. Trooper is from Vancouver, British Columbia. They were made from previous bands called Applejacks and Winter's Green. Trooper formed in 1975. I would have been only 4 years old when they came out. Some of my favorite songs of theirs are Raise a Little Hell. The Hamilton Tiger Cats used that as their anthem. My next favorite is Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time. I used to hear it on Oldies 1150 before Giant was thought of. Boys in the Bright White Sports Car, it's a catchy tune, a great one. General Hand Grenade is an interesting song because of the name and the lyrics. General Hand Grenade, driving in a motorcade, 3 dressed up as a 9. That was a real finger snapper. My sisters, Brenda and Mary, like it too. 2 for the show, and my mother wants to go. It'll break her heart when I tell her she's too old. Oh, pretty lady. My sister Brenda burnt that song for me in the 2000s. The final song I like is Santa Maria. Does anybody know how to steer this thing? Yelled the captain from the crow's nest. I learned that a crow's nest is the high point of a ship. You use it to get a high view so you can see far ahead. I would be terrified. I'm afraid of heights. Trooper has put out many dynamic songs in their career. I love to pretend to play guitar to them. Before there was Trooper, there was Winter Green. This was a band that consisted of 2 of the founding members of Trooper. They released 2 songs, Are You a Monkey? Eek, 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 and Jump in the River Blues. I took a listen to Are You a Monkey? I thought it was quite an interesting song. It was very psychedelic. It sounded like something you would hear on the Psychedelic Snack from noon to 2 on weekdays on Q107. It really reminded me of The Doors because of the standard organ playing, and the singing reminded me of Jim Morrison's style. Winter Green was much different style than Trooper. Trooper was an upbeat rock band compared to psychedelic rock. Winter's Green broke up and Trooper was formed. Their first album, Trooper, was published by Randy Bachman of BTO and the Guess Who. They were signed to the label Legends Rock. Their next album was called 2 for the Show. That album had 2 for the Show and Santa Maria, which was inspired by a boat trip to Tugwell Island in Prince Rupert, BC. This album was certified gold in Canada in 1997. Trooper came out with their 3rd album, Knock 'em Dead, Kid. It turned platinum for Trooper in Canada. It had 2 of my favorite songs on it, Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time, and Oh Pretty Late. I first heard these songs on Classic Rock 105.3 Cool FM from Kitchener on the Tim Gable Show. It had brilliant quality like gangbusters. Their next album, Thick as Thieves, which was released in 1978, has one of my other favorite songs, which is a sport anthem, Raise a Little Hell. When it comes on, I snap my fingers to keep time to it. Not to mention the song Round Round We Go. It used to be on Oldies 1150. Now it is Bloomberg business How boring can you get? My favorite from the Hot Shots album is The Boys in the Bright White Sports Car. It was released in 1979, reaching quadruple platinum status. The fifth studio album was Flying Colors, which was also released in 1979. My favorite song from the third album was 3 Dressed Up as a 9. I always thought this song had great rhythm to it. In 1980, Trooper picked up a Juno Award for the Group of the Year. That's awesome! They are a great band. Trooper went on to release 9 studio albums in their career. Trooper accumulated a SoCan Classic Awards for their songs Here for a Good Time in Santa Maria. The songs are believed to be deeply embedded in the fabric of Canadian radio and culture. To conclude, Trooper was born from a previous band named Winter's Green. They went on to form Trooper, which was signed to Randy Bachman's label Legend Records. They changed their members over time, won a few important awards. The band consistently put out catchy songs, which made them one of Canada's recognizable bands. Trooper became ingrained in Canadian radio and culture. Have a drink on, Pat.
Will you stop that? Will you stifle yourself in it? I'll send you the Dingbat Ward while the Dingbats live. You are a meat. In this segment, I'm going to talk about an old funny show called All in the Family. It's about a guy, Archie Bunker, who is grumpy and self-centered. I always laugh when he blows his stack. He bellows like Ralph Cramden of the Honeymooners. The humor is very dry and sarcastic, and the show itself was very controversial. It covered topics that were unfriendly to television all the time. He lives with his wife, Edith Bunker. The relationship he has with his wife is rocky. Edith is very sweet, but she tends to get on his nerves because she talks a lot and likes to drag out her stories. His son-in-law, Michael Stivic, and his wife, Gloria, who is Archie's daughter, live with them. Archie is always annoyed with his son-in-law, who has different viewpoints than him. Archie was a narrow-minded and unfriendly, whereas Michael is very liberal, and he always shows lots of conflict between them because the entire family is crammed into one house. The show takes place in the 1970s in Queens, New York, which is mostly filmed in the settings of Archie's house or his work. It follows the Bunkers on their day-to-day life and philosophies. The show aired on CBC in 1971 and finished in 1979. Once All in the Family ended, there was a spin-off show called Archie Bunker's Place that ran until 1983. It is often referred to as the greatest television show ever in the US. It ranked #1 in ratings for 5 years. As grumpy as Archie is, he was voted the best television character ever. Whenever I watch the show, I always laugh out loud. I watch it on the Deja Vu station from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. weeknights. My family likes to join me and watch it. In conclusion, All in the Family is rated one of the best TV shows of all time. I really like all the silly conflicts that arise in the Bunker house. A show like All in the Family would not fly today because of all the controversial issues, but thankfully I was able to see all of the reruns. It is still one of my top 3 shows on my personal list.
In this segment, I am going to discuss the Sony company that is headquartered in Minota, Tokyo, Japan. They are a company best known for their electronic products and video games. Personally, I have given this company a lot of cash. Either I have bought their products or they have been bought for me. You can find Sony products everywhere in the world. They're a household name. My first introduction to Sony products came in the 1990s when my dad was ready to record on a blank Sony Dynamicron videotape. He wanted to record Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield. After my introduction to the tapes, I was given a Sony cassette recorder in 1990. It was as light as a feather, which meant I could bring it anywhere to make my own recordings. Needless to say, I have had a lot of success with Sony products in my time. When I think of the Sony name, I first think of one thing: quality. Sony was started just after World War II in 1946 by Masaru Ibuka and Akio Morita under the name Tokyo Telecommunications Electronics Company. In 1958, they officially changed to Sony. There is an interesting history behind the naming of the company. Originally, when the founders took their company to North America, they presented the name Tatsuko as a possibility. The founders found that most people had trouble pronouncing this name. This led them to try out different names that were easier for North Americans to pronounce. Originally, they proposed the name Tokyo Teletech, but scrapped it because another company had already taken the name. The name Sony came from two particular English words. The first was sunny, and the second was from the Latin word sonus, which means sound. The reason they incorporated the word sunny was because it meant a smart, sophisticated man. The founders did not want their company name to be associated with any one particular industry, so the name Sony was the perfect name. The Sony tape was released in 1950 as a reel-to-reel style. It quickly became popular in schools and offices, as well as people's homes. It made it very convenient to record songs, mixtapes, interviews, and memories of their own. It was in 1958 that RCA released the tape cartridge. This technology made recording even easier. It was a compact reel-to-reel system inside a convenient cartridge. Many different companies like RCA, Grundig, and Philips were competing to make the best quality tape with different standards. The companies worked together to create a standard tape type that would be compatible with every player. As the technology became better and better, tapes became a leading part of technology in the music industry. In my experience, tapes are very handy to record music with. The recordings I have made have come out very sharp. I made some on my black Sony and my blue Sony. I have enjoyed recording from CD to tape on my black Sony, as well as recording from Giant FM on my other one. When I made my first Giant FM tape, I quit it on the playback deck and hit pause, then I hit play, then it began recording, and it went quickly on dub speed. It was like a cat chasing a mouse. I didn't want to look at the wheel because I thought I'd get a dizzy spell and need to sit down. I have more tapes than I can count. Right now I have a plastic bag full of Grundig C90 ferric tapes with lots of recordings. I like to drift off to sleep with the sound of a tape or crank the tunes in the summertime when I'm in my pool. Another favorite in my Sony collection is my Sony Walkman that I've had since 2001. I received it from Lincoln Community Care, a worker named Don P. He gave it to me for free, no money down, and it was unbelievable. Thanks a lot, Don, old chap. Walkmans were really pushing boundaries in technology. Sony was really making it easier to access music. Some features of the Walkmans included 2 headphone jacks so people could listen together. They also made headphones much smaller and convenient. Before Walkmans, it was considered rude to be in public, as rude and antisocial. Now people wearing earphones is accepted behavior. It's not looked down upon. Sony makes social change too. Sony continues to create new technology all the time. My latest favorite was the PSP, which is a PlayStation Portable gaming system. It is remarkable, the games are quality, and it fits right in your pocket. In conclusion, I have always loved Sony, and I've had no trouble with them. All their machines have been trouble-free. Sony was an important part of music technology. They created a small reel-to-reel system that became the cassette tape that was portable and affordable. It allowed people to be able to listen to music anywhere. I listen to mine at home and at Livingston Resource. They entertain me. I get to rock whenever I want. You're never too old to rock and roll.